shackles they have on board. It puts the anchor at 20 to 25 tonnes in total. That's not a lot really, considering it's holding 84,000 tonnes of ship. But it is all calculated and it works. I believe she has lost 2 of her anchors while she's been spending her time here in the bay. Now it does look like the anchor is now dragging along the bottom, so she is retrieving it very slowly. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, I will be manoeuvring now and I will stay quiet. Please have your cameras ready and give the crew a good send off here on the Arcadia. Now they want me to come up to the starboard bridge wing so you can give them a little wave.
Okay folks, so here we are aboard the Dark Princess with 50 people aboard. The Dark Princess has been taking people out all during lockdown to see the ships in the bay, and this is a big moment. The P&O ship Arcadia is just coming up alongside. She's all dressed with her naval flags out as part of the celebrations so that she can say goodbye to Torbay. I'm going to circle around so you can see where we are, with the bay all around us. And we're just now coming up alongside this ship, which normally has about 3,000 people aboard, passengers and crew, but has been out here on and off for the last 18 months, going backwards and forwards to Portland and Weymouth. Now we've come right up alongside so you can see her and say goodbye. It's an emotional day. This ship has actually been in Torbay for 500 days over the pandemic, waiting for today when she's about to set sail for Southampton and then go on up to Newcastle.
Nick,
here we are, this is our captain.
Swinging to starboard.
This is Ashley Lane, the skipper of, say hello,
Hi guys.
of the Dark Princess. We'll have a chat with him later. And he's got the Dark Princess all dressed up as well with flags all overall. And a packed boat here, about 50 people. We've just picked up 20 more in Paignton. I came out from Torquay Harbour. I've been very lucky to be invited aboard because I haven't actually been out here up close to these ships. I've been reporting on for the last year and a half. There's been massive interest, obviously. I'll look back over now, that's looking towards Berry Head. Fabulous weather. It is getting a bit cloudier now, but it's really warm still. It doesn't feel like October at all. People here are waving their flags to say goodbye. So we've got a mixture of holiday makers and local people who've just taken these ships to their heart. I can see somebody up in the captain is waving a huge hand, a big foam hand from up there.
See the officers up on the bridge there.
The officers are on the
P&O
bridge.
hand, giving you a big wave there from the starboard bridge wing. The ship is actually turning towards us. She'll do a 360 before heading off out of the bay.
So she's going to do a little 360-degree loop, as you've just heard, a sort of farewell loop, and then a little bit of Michael Jackson there, and then she will sail towards Southampton. So she's starting to move towards us. A bit scary when we're in this smaller boat, and there's a great big 7-story cruise liner, and there she blows. The first of her farewell horns sounding to Torbay to thank the people of Torbay. The crew said it has really touched them the way they've been welcomed by local people, sent Christmas presents and messages, food parcels and hampers. The captain of this Dark Princess is Ashley Lane, and the captain aboard the Arcadia is another Ashley. They've just been chatting to each other over the radio. they are thanking them for coming alongside. I think I can hear over the radio now. So if anybody just joining us, the Arcadia is one of dozens and dozens of cruise liners which have sat around in Torbay and Barbican Bay with just skeleton crews aboard them, about 100 people instead of their normal complement of up to about 3,000 passengers and crew when they're cruising around the world. Obviously, because of the COVID pandemic, they had to sit out the months and months of not being allowed to sail, and they were up to 11 at a time, people waving their crews, up to 11 at a time in both Torbay and Barbican Bay, Line Bay, round the corner, across over Hope's Nose there in the distance. And although when she sails today, it's a big moment, because I think that there hasn't been, I think there was one day during a storm when there were no cruise ships at all in Torbay, when they all sort of scuttled over towards Weymouth for a bit because of the wind direction. But apart from that one day, they've really been part of the scenery in a really big way for Torbay over the last year and a half. And for a lot of people, they were welcomed. There were other people who were worried about the environmental impact, because they do have to keep their engines just sort of ticking over, so for power and lights and for safety reasons. So there have been questions raised by some people about the environmental issues, but for, I'd say, most people, the sight of them, especially at night, they look kind of glamorous, and they bring this kind of wonderful international picture to the bay. And then they started lighting up, putting on the ship's lights on the cabins to spell out messages to Torbay. Some of them were saying, "We love Torbay, we heart Torbay, and thank you Torbay." And they've become part of the community. It started last year when, on Remembrance Sunday, when they blasted their horns. Then they also joined in the light up the world. Very sad memorial to the crew of the Joanna C, with crew members were lost at sea from Brixham, so Brixham lit up, and the ships that were in the bay also lit up and their horns blew to mark that celebration. So that was really poignant, because it's although Torbay is mostly known as a holiday resort, it's also very much a seafaring shipping community. So the fact that the Arcadia and the ship's crew recognised the sadness when the crew of the Joanna C were lost at sea was really touching for local people. It was a very sad time in the bay. And then at Christmas, local people decided they felt sorry for all these crew who were stuck away from their friends and family. I mean, lots of people, we're just spinning now, lots of people around the world, obviously during COVID, didn't see their family, but the crews were stuck out at sea and saw nobody for months and months at a time. So there was a local Facebook group started collecting and sending out Christmas hampers and Christmas cards. Local school children were all making Christmas cards. And the Maritime Minister even praised the bay and said how they were the best of British for the way that they'd welcomed these people. So this is a big day for Torbay. I might try and have a word with the captain in a minute, but he's obviously he's got to be very careful where he goes at the minute, away from the Arcadia, this giant ship spinning towards us. I'm hoping I can get a word with Ashley in a minute. So, we're right underneath the bow here, which has her flags on, as we do as well, to celebrate this big moment. The crew have said thank you today. They've posted on Facebook to say thank you to the people of Torbay before they leave. So she's sailing now, for anybody who's just joined us. She's sailing to Southampton first of all, and then she will be going up to Newcastle for a bit of a refurb, because obviously she's been sat here for over 18 months and not in service. Obviously you can see she's a little bit rusty in places, so she'll obviously be getting a nice new shiny paint job before she goes back into service, taking people. The P&O, this Arcadia is known as an adults only cruise ship. She's not one of the ones that has all the big Disney rides. She's more sophisticated for adults who want a bit of peace and quiet at sea, not with children running around. Well, this is a really poignant moment here now. So there's 50 people on board the Dark Princess. Obviously we didn't know until late yesterday that the Arcadia was going to be sailing, and the captain put out a message asking if anybody wanted to come aboard, and very quickly 50 people signed up, and I was very lucky to be given the opportunity to join them at the last minute. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be underneath. This is such a beautiful shot here. You can see her beautiful lines. Coming around the other side, or she's spinning rather than us. I'm losing my sense of direction. I'm still in the same place. Berry Head to my right, looking around to Churston, Paynton. Torquay is behind us. And over there we have Hope's Nose, looking out towards Lyme Bay. On a sunny day you can see right down towards Portland Bill, but it's a bit cloudy down that way right now. And here we are coming up alongside. Is this her starboard side? I always get muddled up. Port wine left. So this is her starboard. Yeah, port is her. No, this is her port side, I think. Anyway, we're coming down the other side of her as she turns. I'm going to go a bit to see if I can sneak in. Thank you. Let's see these. Do you mind if I sneak down there just to get a bit closer? Oh, so sorry. There we go. So fascinating to be this close. Absolutely fascinating. You can see some of the crew up there. I don't know if I can go a bit closer. That's the bridge. And they're getting ready to manoeuvre to go back into service. Okay, I'm a bit too close up there. There's absolutely no wind over this side. It's dead still and really warm, even though the sun's gone behind the clouds. And there, look back over there. I look down, that's looking back towards Meadfoot, Kilmorey, Flats.
Pilots have given us permission just to carry out a little pirouette just off of the harbour wall there at number 1 anchorage. So we've got 360 and...
Go see if I can have a word with Ashley if he's not too busy. Can I squeeze by?
Yeah. Come on, stand on your toes.
I'm going to squash you. Woo. Ashley, are you free to talk, or are you a bit... Is this a difficult manoeuvre? You're steering. We'll wait a minute. Tap me on the shoulder when you're not. So just to recap for people who are just joining us, this is the P&Os ship, cruise ship. I've got to be correct here, she's not a cruise liner, she's a cruise ship. Arcadia, as you can see. We're out here aboard the Dark Princess, which is being steered at this moment.
At the helm?
At the helm we have Ashley Lane, who's keeping a very close eye because the Arcadia is spinning around. He very kindly invited Devon Live to join him and the 50 passengers who've come out for this emotional last trip. The Arcadia is one of dozens and dozens of cruise ships that have been taking it in turns, a lot of them, but the Arcadia's been here on and off for about 18 months. I'm told 500 nights in all she's actually been in Torbay since the start of the pandemic. About June last year, ships started turning up. At one time there were 11, I think there were 7 in Torbay and another 6 around the corner in Barbican Bay. So we're looking now up at the bridge. I'll just give you a little shot down. She's all beautifully dressed with her flags in a celebration or a sort of sad farewell. I'm not quite sure what it is, but she's leaving for Southampton. She's just doing a little spin around. She's already blown her horn twice to say goodbye to the bay. Then she's going up to Newcastle to get a fresh coat of paint before she's back, taking people on adults only luxury cruises around the world. And that means there'll be for the first time for most of the last year and a half, there'll be no cruise ships in the bay. Although some could come back over, there are a few still in Portland and Weymouth. The Queen Mary and the Queen Victoria are still over there. So they depending on wind direction, they come over here for safe haven. And we've had so there's been P&O ships here, the Holland America lines, the Chewy Morellas have all been here, and even the Marine Minister, the UK government minister, thanked the people of Torbay for the way they've welcomed these ships to their hearts. I was just saying earlier how the ships first began to interact with local people by sounding their horns for Remembrance Sunday. Then they played a really important role in the very sad memorial to the Joanna Sea crew, the fishermen from Brixham who were lost at sea, which was obviously a really sad time. And Torbay, although it's mostly known to the world as a holiday resort, is also quite an important fishing community. So that was a very, very tragic time for Torbay. Then people began to obviously interact and feel sorry for the crews who have been without their family. We've all endured not being able to see people during the pandemic, but for these people, the skeleton crews aboard these ships, they've got about 100-man crews keeping them safe at sea. They've not seen families for months and months at a time. So Torbay began to send them presents, Christmas presents, and children began making them cards. And the Marine Minister said Torbay people had represented the very best of British, the way that they had taken these crews to their heart. So there've been it's been a two-way thing. And as I said earlier, there are people who objected. There are environmentalists who say that the cruise ships do cause some environmental damage. Obviously they have their engines running at sea, so there will be some pollution, but for many people they were a cheering sight, especially with their lights on. They quite often lit up all of these cabins to create messages saying "We heart Torbay" at night, and they just looked kind of glamorous and beautiful. Even if you're not happy about the pollution, they definitely cheered people up during the darkest times of the COVID lockdown. And can I have a word with you a minute, Ashley?
Yeah,
I've got to stand back a bit because you're too close.
Sorry.
But they were a bit of a lifesaver for you because you started running trips out, didn't you?
That's correct.
Hang on, let me just move my microphone. Sorry, closer to you because people might not hear you otherwise. You hang on to that a minute.
That's right. No, with the cruise ships coming in and seeking shelter off Torbay waters, it certainly was a lifeline. And where we couldn't carry passengers out on normal excursions, we decided to switch operations to coming out and showing people the vessels that are out here. And at the time, with such a choice of vessels, being 11 at most at the one time here, and down to the single one, Arcadia now just departing the bay for the final time.
You just show people again while you're talking.
So
yeah. So how do you feel saying goodbye to her like this?
Well, it's bittersweet. You know, it's nice to see the vessel getting back to normality where they should be, and obviously the other thing being that we'll have to diversify to what we do best, carrying people around the bay.
You were saying this morning you've been out and you've seen lots of nice wildlife again. That's what people love as well, isn't it?
Yeah. This morning we had a geological cruise. This morning we had some seals to spot, and we had quite a number of grey heron and things around the coastline. So now it'll be back to what we normally do.
He's steering as we go here.
Just up there on the balcony, that might be Rihanna.
Oh, Rihanna from Exmouth. Oh yeah, here they all are, the guys.
There they are. All the crew up top, giving us a wave from the balconies there.
So it's Rihanna, who is she the ship's matron?
Ship's nurse.
Ship's nurse. Thank you. Yeah, so she put out the message last night thanking Torbay and saying that they were going to be sailing and letting people know. So we think we can spot her. She's the lone female that I can see from here. No, there's a couple of others. And then on the stern of the ship there, various other crew members have come out to say goodbye to us. It's really sweet. She waves back. Sorry, I'm trying to put my microphone back on. No.
That was a bit of parking problem.
Somebody just pointing out she's got a dent on the back. She must have hit a pier somewhere around the world at some stage. An ouch, it's called. Apparently it's a technical term. So there you can see Thatcher Rock just emerging behind as we spin around. It was a beautiful hot day when I got aboard in Torquay, and now we've got some cloud coming over. The cloud is now, the sky is bluer down towards Portland. So that's the Orstone, is the further rock. I always think looks like a crouching lion, and then Thatcher Rock, and then Hope's Nose. We're going to go around the other side, Ashty says. Yeah, there's a yeah, one of the old heritage Brixham sailing trawlers with its lovely red sails is around off Meadfoot as well, come out to sea. There's a few other boats have now joined us, a little flotilla of boats have come around. A bit more windy around this side. Quite a few people have come out to wave goodbye. I accidentally touched the wheel there. Come round here so we can see again. Sorry.
It's all right, no?
There we go, so here we are. There's more of the crew on the stern waving to us up there. This is a big day for them. They're actually about to get back to doing the jobs that they're trained for. She shouted "love you." Don't know if you can see the guys up there waving. I'm trying to get a bit closer. There we are. Love you, Devon, she just shouted, I think, from the top there. So that's the crew of the Arcadia, P&Os Arcadia. Oops, trying to zoom back out again, but it's not letting me. Sorry about this, guys. There we go. There we are.
3 cheers for Arcadia! Hip hip!
Hey!
Hip hip!
Hey!
Hip hip!
Hey! Well done. You're a fan, are you? Wonderful. So I'm just going to tell everybody one more time, because I've got a lot of new people joining us here, because it takes a lot of battery to run these lives. So before I disappear, just to let you know that this is the P&O cruise ship Arcadia. When she's cruising, she takes up to 3,000 passengers and crew, I think about 800 crew. But for the last year and a half, during the coronavirus pandemic, she's been here for 500 days on and off, mostly in Torbay, but going backwards and forwards to Portland, just keeping a safe haven in the bay. Ship up on the other side of us. So sad day for lots of people. A happy day for the Arcadia, getting back into service. She's off to Southampton and then up to Newcastle for a refit and a bit of a paint job. Waving, blowing her horns to say goodbye. Her whistles or horns, I'm never sure which. And I'm on the Dark Princess and she's replying. Everybody's replying. The Arcadia's done a little spin, 180 degree spin around, and now she's facing towards Lyme Bay and saying goodbye, blowing her horns. And then, well, she'll be the last cruise ship to leave the bay, although some others might come back in on and off, but it's really the end of an era here. The time of COVID has also been for Torbay the time of the cruise ships. And they've cheered people up mostly.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a request from the captain himself, Ashley. He's asked for you all to give him a good wave. He's just getting his camera set up there. I'm going to just spin around so we can see you all.
There's the captain. There's
big
the
waves,
captain.
big waves, everybody.
I can see him. We're spinning around, and the captain's up there on the bridge. If you can see. We're spinning, so we're going to have to move a bit. Coming back out. Sorry, I've zoomed in too far to see the captain and I'm zooming back out. I don't have a lot more battery left on here, so if I disappear you'll know why. So this is Colleen Smith from Devon Live, thanking Ashley Lane, skipper of the Dark Princess, who's taken Devon Live out on this final cruise. He's been bringing people out here for the last 18 months to view up close all these fabulous cruise ships. And have given Torbay quite a glamorous international look over the last year and a half. When they're all lit up at night, they look quite spectacular. This is the first time for me personally I've been up close, so it's a big deal. The Arcadia blowing all her horns, putting out the flags, saying goodbye in style here to Torbay. There are other small ships around the other side. Boats. Quite an amazing day, isn't it?
Yes. Ironically, I just arrived
No.
in France.
Okay.
I came back last autumn. Hang on, what's that in the middle of the bay?
Quite a sight, aren't they?
Yes.
So here we are. That's Berry Head, Churston, Paignton. On the other side is Torquay, Meadford, and in front of us the Arcadia, where about 50 people have been lucky enough to come up close to say goodbye to her today on the Dark Princess.
Up by the National Coast Watch tower there, Daddy Hole Plain, there's quite a few people on the cliff tops up there,
Oh, yeah.
waving the Arcadia off.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this will be a sight we won't see for a long time.
So people have come out all around the Torbay coastline. That's Daddy Hole Plain ahead of me now.
Having fun.
And the Coast Watch Tower up at Daddy Hole. People are up there. Little dots on the horizon all waving. So it's goodbye from the Dark Princess, goodbye from Torbay, goodbye from the Arcadia. She's off to Southampton and then Newcastle for a refit before she goes back into cruising again, taking luxury adults only cruises around the world. Hopefully we'll see her again in Torbay. Quite a lot of the other captains when they left have said it's been emotional and had a lump in their throat because of the way the people of Torbay and the communities in Devon have welcomed them with open arms. Apart from in the middle of the night when people complained about the fog horns going off. But mostly people have loved every minute of it. Over on that side is one of the Brixham heritage trawlers with her red sails. Don't know if you can see that. It's a bit far away. I'm trying to zoom in. Quite a few small boats around the other side have all come to say goodbye. Little flotillas. People are out here on their jet skis. It's 4 jet skis. In the distance there, they've all come out. We didn't know till last night that Arcadia was going to be leaving today, so this trip was organised quickly by Ashley. 50 people quickly signed up. Everybody's waving their flags. Ashley said it's a bittersweet moment. It's good for the cruise. Finally, after getting on for over a year and a half of COVID-19, the world is getting back to normal. So it's quite symbolic, really. She goes. Some of the other small boats look as if they're going to head out with her. this trip has to head back into harbour. So we'll be going back towards Torquay. Just one last time for anybody who might have joined us. This is the P&O cruise ship Arcadia. She's sailing out of Torbay now, meaning for the first time since the start of the COVID pandemic there will be no cruise ships in the bay. She's the last one, although others may be coming backwards and forwards for a short time. It is really the end of an era. We've had up to 11 ships in Torbay and just around the corner in Babacan Bay. And they've become a part of the skyline and have been welcomed with open arms by the majority of people in Torbay. Although you can see by the smoke coming out that there are environmental issues. I have to say some people have been concerned about any damage they could be doing. But many people have felt empathy for those crews stuck on board. Well, we've all been stuck in a way. At home, they've been truly cut off from their families, with a skeleton crew of about 100 people on each of the cruise ships instead of their normal complement of up to about 3,000 people who normally are aboard, passengers and crew. I think they have up to 800, I think it's about 860 crew on the Arcadia during normal times, looking after people on these luxury cruises around the world. But they've just had skeleton crews aboard, and they've really said how much they've felt welcomed by Torbay and how much difference it made to them. So I'm here aboard the Dark Princess at the invitation of the skipper Ashley Lane, who's come out for a final time. He's been bringing out trips all through the last year and a half. He said it was a bit of a lifesaver after everything shutting down at the beginning of last year. He was able to have a very, very busy summer once the lockdown lifted and he could take people out here. And now he's getting back to what he does best, which is the cruises to see the wildlife around Torbay, the seals and dolphins and sharks, small thresher sharks that come in. And we are now saying goodbye to the Arcadia. And I've been really, 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 really pleased to be here because I have never been up this close to these ships before. And the ships became part of Torbay, letting their horns off for Remembrance Sunday, for the very sad memorial to the lost fishermen from Brixham who were aboard the Joanna Sea. And people in Torbay started sending them presents and Christmas hampers, and children were making cards. So it's very much been a two-way process. And all these windows that you see ahead of you from the cabins were all lit up at night, sometimes with messages saying, "We love Torbay." And the crew just now, who were on the stern there, were shouting, "We love Torbay," back to us as we waved, said goodbye to them. So she's now heading towards, out past Thatcher Rock. Apparently she can go up to 23 knots, so once she gets underway she'll be down to Southampton and then back up to Newcastle, getting a fresh coat of paint and a refit before she goes back into service as a cruise ship. So this is Colleen Smith signing off. Well, actually I'm going to stay on, but until she's gone. But my battery is about to die, so I'm just warning you, we might disappear. Blowing. So the Dark Princess has got her flags on as well.
That's the Arcadia now As for now goes Torbay, we're not going to keep up with her, so we'll let her crack on. When she's, believe it or not, when she's sat at anchor alone, she's burning 1.6 tonnes. We struggle to burn that at full stick for a week. So we'll let her carry on there and carry on her merry way. We're going to slide across towards North Shore and slide back into Torquay and then Paynton. We'll see her off as she sails off in the distance on our starboard side. Bon voyage, Arcadia, and Captain Ashley from to another.
Bon voyage, Arcadia, from Captain Ashley Lane. We're turning around now, going back.
Alright, you go through a wash, you don't turn up.
Yeah, we're just going through a wash now, so that's quite a beautiful sight. Oh, it's actually quite a moving moment. Everybody's trying to grab photos of her as she sails. Stone Rock and Thatcher Rock, Hope Snows in Torquay, mussel beds. Are they mussel beds ahead of us?
Sorry, mussel bed, yes.
Mussel
Well, I do
beds,
believe,
fishermen on there.
Mikey's got the kettle on down below if anybody's short of a drink or two. He's got a limited supply down there, provided he hasn't drunk it all himself.
I'm just going to keep pointing my camera till my battery dies.
Now we're going to head in. We've got Meadfoot in front of us, Thatcher's Rock, Wallstone, the two large rocks out on our right hand side ahead of us. We'll run down and finish the cruise off with a little bit of a coastline. We're actually just passing by in a moment or two one of the old Brixham fishing trawlers. I believe this one. Is it the Pilgrim, Sandy? Yes, it is the Pilgrim. Thank you very much. Sandy used to sail on this one as first mate many years ago. Is that right? Oh, bless you. So I shall pick my commentary up when we get a little bit closer to the coastline, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
So for anybody who has just joined us, that's sailing off into the distance now is the P&O cruiser Arcadia, the last of the cruise ships in Torbay. For now, others might come back temporarily, but there she blows. She's been blowing her horn, and the crew have been waving to us, and people aboard here. There's 50 people on board the Dark Princess who sailed out to say goodbye. There were lots of other little boats sailed up, people on jet skis, and it's an emotional moment for Torbay, the end of this COVID era. A bittersweet time, really, that the world is getting back to normal, but Torbay has actually loved the glamorous kind of international